Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Casa De Confidence. And today I have been looking forward to this conversation specifically because this is something that from time to time, no matter where I have been in my life, I've always had questions. I needed support. Sometimes I need help making the best choices. And I need the experts to come alongside of me. And today's guest is, well, she's the real deal, my friends. One of the things that I knew when I met her is that we were going to definitely jive. She is someone who loves cooking for her family and wants you to feel the same way. And a lot of times we don't feel that way. We actually struggle. I know that sometimes, especially during the holidays, we've been off of our game, doing all kinds of different things, eating things that are not necessarily in our plan. And as the new year begins, we want to go ahead and maybe begin new habits that serve us. And food is one of these things that we need to all navigate. And we need experts to come alongside of us to help us navigate that. Now, Zoë Willis is a family food consultant and a mother of many. She provides one-to-one coaching and support for busy mamas to help them cook well and live well. As the founder of Real Life and Real Kitchen, Zoë works with clients to cut through the overwhelm so they can create nutritious, tasty, and straightforward meals that fit naturally into a bustling family life. And I have to say, even though I am not a mama, I do have, my mom living with me now. And one of the things that I really want to do is create healthy meals, not only for my husband and I, but for my mom. And one of the things that I love about Zoë is that she began as a high achiever and it still probably is because that's not something we can turn off. And one of the things that she discovered is how important entrepreneurship is for women, especially mothers. And I believe that the work that she's doing now is helping us go confidently in that journey that we all have. So welcome to the show, Zoë.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julie. Thank you so much for having me here. It's a delight. Thank you.
Well, and the delight is mine. I have to say, I do love your glasses and your top. Very chic, my friend.
Thank
I
you.
love it.
Thank you. Yes, gone for the leopard print red lipstick and the exciting glasses. Thank you.
Well, I am a fan of exciting glasses, leopard print, and red lipstick, so I know I love you already.
It works. It works. I mean,
you continue to reiterate that.
Yes. No, and I also say to my husband, with the glasses, I say it's very important. They're on my face. They're on my face all the time. It's really important.
I know it's really important. Now, Real Life, Real Kitchen.
Yes.
That's not where your journey began. And I would love for you to walk us a little bit of what your journey was like, because you climbed the corporate ladder, correct?
Not quite the corporate ladder. I was well on my way on the academic ladder, though.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yep. So I started
Which is
off
very competitive, by the way.
Really competitive. Really competitive. And it was one of those things. So I've got 3 degrees in art history. Started off as undergraduate, then did the master's, and ended up with the PhD.
Amazing. Well, we're going to have to talk about art history another day because I love history.
Yeah. It was such a privilege throughout my 20s to be enjoying this, and I've been applying for jobs in galleries at the top levels, thinking of academia, and then in the end actually decided for the civil service in the UK. And so I was all focused, was going to be terribly successful and doing all of that sort of thing. And then I had a baby and I went, oh gosh, these babies, they need their mamas in a way that I just hadn't quite realized. I mean, I suppose intellectually, I think a lot of us are just fantastic parents or fantastic carers of our own parents until you're actually in that position. So it was quite a steep learning curve, and I don't think I'm alone with many with a lot of mums discovering with your first child just the demands and the love and everything that needs to happen. So with my first child, it decided actually this was a child for whom we needed to be at home. So I've been technically stay-at-home mum for almost 14 years now.
Wow. Okay.
And quietly domestic. There'd be the odd job that'd be doing some editing, I'd do some writing and things that very much fitted around family life. And there was an awful lot of home cooking. Mm-hmm. Awful lot of home cooking, which I'd always enjoyed, and as a student I'd done and traveled, been to places like Italy and Croatia and Australia.
Beautiful.
So I'd had this fantastic opportunity in my 20s to be exposed to some incredible food markets, the different styles of cooking, depending on if you're on the coast, the kind of food they'd eat in Italy in contrast to what they were eating in I'll give you an example. I spent a lot of time in Venice, so obviously it's a lot of mussels, a lot of fish from the Adriatic. You go into Florence, which is inland, and it's like it's a lot of beef, tripe, big beefy red wines. And so I was starting to really pick up on how food cultures were really defined by geography and defined by geography and local customs. So that had happened in my 20s, and then being at home and all of a sudden starting to cook a lot and realizing just this continuity of heritage that I was creating, but also the importance of nutrition and how food can really just heal. I mean, physically heal,
absolutely,
but also, bring communities together, bring families together, and bring communities together. And so, anyway, pottering on, a few more babies later, we went gluten-free at one point. We needed to do that for health reasons, which was quite transformative for us as a family. And I suddenly realized that people were asking me questions about the way I was cooking. How is it that you can cook from scratch so healthily with the family? Doesn't it cost a lot to go gluten-free? All these questions were coming up and I was just answering them. And I realized that whilst I'd been at home just pottering on and other people had continued in the world of work, so I'd been at home thinking, I'm just at home. I'm just a mum,
No, never just.
No. I was creating, honing all these skills. So, and people were coming to me and asking me for tips, and I could see that there was a gap there. Now, I'm not a health coach, so I don't have certification. I'm not a functional medicine doctor or anything like that. So, but what will often happen is people will go along to the doctor or whoever, and the doctor says, right, clearly, you've got to get rid of this from your diet, this from your diet, this from your diet, or even worse, you've got to remove this for your child. And the mum's sitting there and she's going, oh my gosh, I've got soccer practice, I've got band practice, I've got the school run, I've got my job, I can just about getting the chicken nuggets on the table. You're asking me to do this? It's too much, you just kind of feel that there's a limit. Everybody has a limit. So that's where I come in, where it's sitting down and actually talking to these women. It might not just be dietary, but let's say you've got to make budgetary changes, or you're just going, actually, we are eating too many chicken nuggets and we want to cook from scratch.
And that's not fun for anybody. I think that, we get into these ruts, and even here as, in an adult household, we get into the ruts and I think, we got to have that again. I don't know, but it's easy, right? And we like it. And there's one thing about repetition that is good and makes it easy. Decision fatigue goes away. But at the same time, I'm an Enneagram 7. So I love to have the variety and the new stuff. And that's always something that calls to me. So many different things that I want to unpack on what you said.
Go on.
I definitely have someone who's lived in many different places. My mom is from El Salvador. My dad, I have roots that are from Puerto Rico, from Italy, and New York, of course, very different, growing up in Miami. So I get that whole concept of geography and how it impacts our food. And I think that a lot of times people don't really are open to the idea necessarily, right, of stepping out of that comfort zone for themselves. Because it's what they know, it's what they've been exposed to, and it requires a little bit more of work. and a little bit more planning.
Yes.
And sometimes it's hard to plan. I know that a lot of individuals don't necessarily make a list when they go shopping.
Yeah.
And they just kind of think, okay, what do I need? And then they kind of go down the rabbit hole of the grocery store. And I know that, in Europe, in the UK, grocery stores are a little different than they are here. I don't like big grocery stores, I have to say.
They're kind of designed to be overwhelming. That's it. If you actually look at the psychology of a supermarket, it's quite it's very clever.
It's fascinating.
It's fascinating. Slightly devious, I have to admit.
It is.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that's so important to have a list, because you go in and then you're bombarded by colors and all the things. It just gets too much, and particularly if you're going in with children.
Oh yeah.
I think this is one of the things that's happened with kind of food and grocery shopping and things. People know fundamentally that this is important.
Yeah.
But because I think as it's been a couple of generations now, we haven't really been taught how to cook. You haven't had that transmission necessarily from mothers to daughters or grandmothers down. And so people actually feel, shame is too strong a word, but there is an embarrassment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm looking at a vegetable. I'm looking at a capsicum, red pepper or something. I don't know what to do with it, but I ought to know what to do with it. Yeah. And I suppose this is where I drift in, and in some ways filling that role of the auntie or the grandma coming in and saying, okay, you've got this season of life that you're struggling with. Okay, we can work through this together. But the overwhelm is real.
It's real. I've seen that with my friends a lot. I know, and again, my friends now have kids that are going to college and out on their own. But certainly when they had babies or when they had littles, you have to kind of and think about okay, what is the schedule? My sister has a 10-year-old, my niece. She is someone who is incredibly involved in school. For one child, my gosh, she has a busier schedule than most adults that I know. And my sister kind of has to accommodate to that. And it's not easy at times. But the one thing that you said, and that I totally agree, and I've seen this as more women return to the workplace, less women are staying at home. Yeah. We're not, and also kids and adult children are becoming more involved outside of the home. They're not really seeing foods being prepared. They're not seeing kind of the menu planning. I do recall when I lived in El Salvador, I was there till I was 10. My grandmother, granted, we did have someone who cooked for us. We had a cook, but my grandmother was very involved. Every morning after breakfast, she would make a list and she would make a menu for the day. And then the cook would go shopping for those ingredients. And it's not like we did a big grocery shop. We just shopped more. It was freshly, right? They would go to the butcher, they would go to the market. And that's what was cooked for the day, but there was intentionality behind it. And although my grandmother didn't cook all the time, I did see her, right, participating. And when she did cook, I loved to watch her sit there and do the cooking. And that's how I believe it's one of the ways in which I learned a lot of my cooking. I'm not very good at following a recipe, Zoe.
No, I know. And this is the really interesting thing. So my mother it was quite interesting. So my mother is a fantastic cook. She comes from a part of the Netherlands where they do gravy very well. Rabbit stews with prunes and these really quite sort of rich kind of stews. It's just phenomenal. But I went to boarding school. I was at boarding school. And actually, similar to you, the first 10 years or so of my life, we lived abroad and we had a cook. Yeah. And so I actually never saw that. I missed out on that process. And so I didn't really start to learn how to cook until probably I started at university. Then it was like you
have to, right?
Got to feed myself somehow.
Right.
And so that was the experience for me. But I do remember, what you're describing, that my mother, again, she talked to the maids. let's get this. This is what's going to happen for today. Seasonality was a big part of it as well.
That's true. And that's something that a lot of people don't pay attention to. In the past few years, as I've tried to really leverage more of using food as something that can help me in the health department, I really have started to pay more attention. Whereas before, if I felt like soup, I would have a soup. If I felt like salad, and now in the winter, for instance, here in New England, I tend to do more soups. I still will have salad makings in the refrigerator, but I love the potatoes or the squashes, and it really does lend itself to that seasonality, but people sometimes don't pay attention to that.
No, and I think that feeds into, if you excuse the pun, feeds into
I love that.
It comes back to the busyness of our lives. And I think as women, actually, we've been also quite cut off from our own bodies because of the busyness and because of the control we're able to exert upon our bodies. Going to the doctor, you get a pill. Yep, you're sick, have a pill, and you push on. We've actually lost that connection of listening to what suits our bodies.
Oh, 100%.
And so that's again another really interesting aspect about all of this. I mean, yes, obviously, if you're addicted to sugar, like I am, that's my struggle. You're going to go,
that's my weakness here too.
That's a tough one. You shouldn't be on the donuts all day. We know this. But as you say, in the wintertime and in New England, it's just like here in the UK, you have the seasons. And, in the summer, as you say, it's the brighter days. And so, yes, you want the lighter food. It fits with your body. And then in the winter, you're doing that hunkering down. It's a very, very different
it sure
way
is.
of being.
It sure is. Different. I actually have to, we bought some oranges with my mom the last time we went to the market. And I keep thinking, why do I buy the fruit? Sometimes I don't necessarily, if it's cold out, I don't necessarily want to have the fruit. But then I have to get creative. Like, what can I do with that fruit? So I think that that's one of the things too, that sometimes, we forget. Now, I will tell you, I have done more experimenting, I think, specifically in the last few years. But one of the things that really helped me, especially as I got really busy in a career, was food prepping. And although now I work at home, I don't often food prep as I used to. But when I was traveling to New York weekly and running around, had lots of things going on, having a food prep is something that really helped because it made it easy. I didn't even have to think about it. Like, it's just there, it's done. And it creates kind of continuity and helps you eat easier. Now, are you a proponent of food prep?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm a great believer if you can. So often one of the biggest tips I'll give to my clients is, let's say they're working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but then they'll have their supermarket food drop on Monday evening, and you go, and that's also the night the child has sports or drama and all of this, and you go, oh no, and then nothing gets sorted till the Friday, and you go, it's not going to work. What I'm a great proponent of is that if you are going to the supermarket, you're going to the market, food delivery, it comes at a time where you have a good 2-3 hours. And you do have to carve this out. This is talk about
you have to carve it out. 100%.
Carve it out, and then you unload your food and you prep it there and then. And you have in the fridge all your veggies that are chopped and ready for steaming. You have all of your veggie sticks, your fruit, everything that is ready, so that when the snack craving comes, it's there. And with all of these things that are prepped already, I greatly encourage things like at the beginning of the month, if you get a big bag of onions, put it in the food processor, and then you can actually freeze it. You can freeze it and then just take chunks off to fry whenever you need some onions. You can do the same with garlic. You can do the same with the carrots. So even then, it's done. It's there for the month in your freezer. and it's just super
I
quick.
had
And
not thought of
be able to
that.
do that. Yeah.
And mainly because I hate onions, I will say.
Okay, then fair enough. Fair enough.
For instance, I will say I have carrots, and
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes I think, oh, I gotta chop those,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
I
I think,
know.
okay, maybe I'll do that another day. I'll make this, and
Yeah.
and that's how we get into ruts. But that's a really great
Exactly,
tip.
exactly.
Yeah,
So you just do
absolutely, I love
you
that.
do a big bag, and then
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, you're not going to take a chunk of frozen carrot and chew on
Yeah,
that. No,
right.
that's a separate thing. But
Yeah,
for your stews or your soup or carrot cake, muffins, it's all there and ready. So no,
yeah,
no,
that's so good.
the food prep, and it's also great as the children are getting older because I'm hungry. Right, we'll go
Yeah.
and have a rummage. Everything's prepped in the fridge. Off you
Hmm.
go and you cook yourself something. It's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge.
It is huge. My niece has been from an early age. She's been quite independent, and she likes to cook. And I
Mm,
will say, it's a funny story. My sister, it's not necessarily, she's a good cook, but she's not necessarily something that she loves doing. Now, she's
mhm.
at home, and a lot of times she's not very adventurous with her food, which I am. Now, when I was visiting my niece, I guess maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago, I decided that we were going to make cauliflower steaks in
Oh,
the air fryer.
yeah,
And
yeah.
my
I've
niece
seen
is like,
this. Yeah,
"What? What? I don't understand. Why?" Because she's mainly had the frozen. And by the way,
yeah,
frozen, it's a
mhm.
great alternative. And I
Yeah.
and I don't want to knock
Absolutely,
frozen, because
absolutely.
a lot of times, and research has pointed out that a lot of the vitamins, because vegetables are flash frozen,
Yeah,
they do keep a lot of that
yeah,
vitamins and nutrients inside. But
yeah,
anyway, I
and
had bought the cauliflower fresh, and we
yeah,
sliced it and we cooked it up. And now my niece does that all the time. But cooking
amazing.
with children, it's a wonderful idea. And I
Yeah,
think that it involves them. And as a former teacher, it's a great way to teach math skills and
yeah,
reasoning.
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
so I love that.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. And another thing with the frozen vegetables as well, if you are concerned about kind of, you want more of the organic or something like that, it's cheaper to have them frozen. And again, it's those moments where you just
Yeah,
go, frozen vegetables,
that's right.
and it's good, and
Yeah.
feeding the family. But no, the teaching of having the children there and watching and getting involved and doing little things, it's so important. And I think we've also lost that as kind of culture, both in the UK and I would say sort of in the US as well, that cooking as a communal activity, that's
Yeah,
meant to be a space that we are doing with the women,
that's right.
the younger generation are watching, and it's a space for talking. I mean, if you
Yeah.
think about sort of the preparation, you've had Thanksgiving relatively recently. There's
Hmm.
also there's
Yeah.
also Christmas.
Yeah.
Just you think of some of the traditions where women are getting together and
Yeah.
big time cooking, baking all together to feed all
Hmm.
the family, and that's something that we've lost. And it'd be wonderful if, yes, those families who want to try and restore that, it's a really powerful thing, trying
Yeah,
to recreate
absolutely.
that. Yeah.
I love, one of the things that I love, and we actually did it last night, is we cooked with my husband. We do very well, and we're not. I guess we can start with a recipe, but we're very adventurous, and then
Yes.
he'll throw a little bit of this, and I'll put a little
Mm.
dash in there, and we do quite well. We actually, one of the things that I've been doing lately is, of course, we have our social media. I will watch a recipe on TikTok, for
Hmm.
instance,
Hmm.
and then I will Julify it. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's been kind of fun, because there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily buy for us.
Mhm.
I don't like to buy a lot of processed food, but
Mhm.
and I know that a lot of people, it makes it easier, but sometimes I can still kind of do my version of the recipe.
Yeah,
But we have a
yeah,
lot of fun cooking together. And I think that
yeah,
this is a great way as a couple, maybe if you're in that area of life in which your children are not in the home anymore,
yeah,
this can be a really great connection, because it
yeah.
allows you to have conversations. It allows you to kind of have that teamwork. And I love that time together with my husband.
Yeah.
We probably don't do it enough.
And it's also lovely to have that experimentation, to have the space to do that as well. Actually, something I wanted to pick up on, you were talking about struggling to stick to a recipe and just getting creative. I think that's also something that I've found quite interesting with a number of my clients, has been because life is, again, coming back to the busyness and the craziness of life, food can be a real space of control. And I mean that, everything else is bonkers in my life, but I have a recipe here. If I just follow the recipe, then that's, do you see what I mean? It's a real space that there's that control, and I know at the end of it I will be able to feed my family.
That's right.
The challenge comes when it's a recipe for 4 people, but I'm feeding 5, or I don't want to cook every night, but I feel committed to recipes. And it's okay, let's talk about the batch cooking. Let's talk about the leftovers. How is it that we can encourage you to go beyond the recipe? Or even you look at a recipe and it says, I don't know, you need a tiny nub of ginger. Or whatever. I don't have that.
Right.
The whole recipe's gone. It's ruined. And it's encouraging people to have that creativity and say, well, you know what, as you say, a dash of that, a bit of this, to have the confidence and say, I mean, unless you burn it, it's not really going to go wrong.
No, absolutely. You know, yesterday, and I don't drink milk. So the recipe did call for a little bit of milk. And I said to my husband, I'm like, oh, we have almond milk. Use that. I said, but that's a little sweet. So here's a little bit of this spinach artichoke with jalapeno dip. Put that in there. And then it was delicious. So it was very, very good. But I think that we need to give ourselves permission. And I think that for me, a lot of times, for instance, with baking, because you have to be very precise with baking, I don't do as much baking anymore. Because there's that precision, and I get a little overwhelmed. And I think that when I'm trying to just kind of go through really fast with something, I'd rather just, experiment and be a little more free-flowing.
I think that's the interesting thing, isn't it? Because baking it's chemistry. That if you want it to rise, if you want the eggs to do particular things, it's very much about, it's really about ratios and a real precision.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I try to make, I saw the recipe for cottage cheese bread and it looked delicious. And I got the ingredients, I went to make it, and it did not turn. And I'm like, oh no.
Disaster.
But you make the best of it. And I think that that's where people need to give themselves permission. And this is why it's so important to have someone that comes alongside them and can say, try it. Why don't you see that? Why don't, and it really is about, it's real life. It's never going to be perfect. And we need someone to kind of, give us the way and show us how to make a plan and prepare and make it taste good and help us nourish our bodies.
Yeah. And also have it fit in with family life. I think that's the important thing. Yeah. I suppose coming back to my example of the poor mum who's told you got to go gluten-free, and she got, I got all the soccer, I got the work, I got not going to happen. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that, because I've got a busy family life and I can see how families move, this is why I'm a family food consultant. It's essentially like a business consultant. You come in, you have the overview, and you find the gaps. And what about this? Will this work? Okay, let's find a compromise here. And working together to get a plan that fits with your family life in this particular season of life. And that's really important. It's really important.
I love that.
mean, I had a situation recently where we're having to do some extra physio for one of my children. And for me, that's actually been kind of not quite the straw that's broken the camel's back, but I had to speak to the physio and say, I am struggling at the moment to do this. This isn't working with family life at the moment. And they were great. She said, month or 2 off, January, February time, Christmas is over, the craziness is over, and we'll put together a new plan. And that's so important to, it was again reminded me, and I say this to my clients as well, but reminded me to say, we I think this fits into the type A focus-driven character as well, that you just got to keep going, just push on. And sometimes we've got to say, no, this isn't working. This isn't serving anybody, actually. And stepping out and saying, I just need some help at this point. It's really important. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, here's the reality. I love saying, do what you do best and delegate the rest. And we don't always have gifts in all the areas of life. It is not realistic to think that we can do it all and do it well. So this is why it's important to find the people that have found ways that work for them and that can help them be able to, leverage these expertise and resources to, again, make it easy for ourselves. Otherwise, life becomes very complicated and we make it and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. It's just cutting through the overwhelm, isn't it? And just
absolutely.
Making one aspect of life, and quite a fundamental aspect of life, simpler and better for everyone. Really
absolutely.
Important.
Now, Zoë, I have to, ask you, because I think that this is probably one of the things, not probably, but I do know that you help individuals with this area as well, is when it comes to food, there's also a cost associated, and there's money and budgeting. And what are some of your best tips for individuals, families, or even maybe some of these empty nesters, right? What are some of the best tips when it comes to budgeting for food? Because I think that that's really an art to be able to. I really hate wasting food. My husband can tell you. If I end up throwing stuff out, I'm like, can't believe that, right? But that's my own little neurosis, I think.
But, I'm with you on that one. And that's, again, is something, I think one of the tips is, to begin with, I would say that the meal planning is quite important. If you're starting out on this, it is sitting down, taking that time out. What are we going to be eating for the next week? And taking your shopping list, not necessarily buying the brand stuff. Go and find your fresh food. Have a rummage in the, what do they call it? My mind's gone blank. When the food is past its sell-by date, but it's not really.
Yeah, when it's expired,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's that. Start looking in there and getting those bits together. So stick to a meal plan to begin with. And then as you get more confident with this creative cooking that we're talking about, you reach a point that you're actually able to look in the fridge and you've got half a chicken, half a roast chicken or something. And I mean, I've known of families who've gone, well, it was roast chicken. We're going to toss that because we're on to the next meal now. And you go, oh my gosh, there's so much wastage. The chicken's not off.
No, not at all.
Chicken's not off. You could throw it into a soup. You can throw it into a salad. People often get quite frightened about food going off and not realizing that you're going to be okay. Because if you actually think about it, the only people I know who've struggled with food poisoning have been traveling abroad, where there has been real problems with, people not washing their hands properly, for example. Or maybe you've been to a restaurant where that's happened. But generally at home, if you sniff it, it's fine.
It's fine.
So I think there's actually a lot of people sort of throwing things away in their fridge that isn't necessary. I also have on my website, I call it the 7-day pantry rummage challenge.
Ooh, I love that, by the way.
That's
one of my favorite things to do is how long can I go without going to this? Because I really hate going to the store, right? And then I'll say, okay, what can I make with what it's in there? And that's kind of a fun game that I like to do.
Yeah. And this is what I've got. So it's 7 days. It's one ingredient a day. So something like, I don't know, lentils. There's one for tinned salmon. So these are simple things, but it'll be 3 meals.
Nice.
So I think the salmon is something like a chowder and a couple of other things in there. But you can go into your cupboard and go, okay, the lentils, I can make a meal that will feed all, however many of us, 4, 5, 6 of us. It's especially for those families that are going, it's 4:00, kids are back from school, I haven't cooked anything, everybody's climbing out the walls, now what? So it's a combination of helping for that difficult time of the day, but also, just working your way through what you've got, because we do have a lot that's sitting sitting in cupboards that gets pushed to the
I
back.
know. I see that a lot. And I know that a lot of people do this. And again, maybe it's because of how I was raised in a third world country, right? And I saw the disparity between the people that had money and the people who didn't.
Yeah.
I look at the individuals that have these pantries, and if you have this pantry, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to knock you down. I'm not trying to yuck your yum, but yeah, I think that that's a question, right? This consumerism of how much do you really need? And I know that there's individuals that keep basements full of food, and how long can that actually stay?
Yeah.
And is that, I think that becomes part of it becomes the background noise of your life.
Yeah, it's another sort of clutter.
It's there. It's kind of like me. Today I was doing laundry and I thought, I haven't worn a lot of clothes. Everything that I haven't worn in the last 2 weeks, I really should technically give that away because I keep washing the same things. And I think that this is one of the things that happens. And obviously we're not going to fix ourselves overnight, but are the things to kind of consider. Where is it that we have a lot that maybe we don't need, and we can start to say, what can I trim off? Because that creates a better, I think, more peaceful time for ourselves.
Yeah. And I think, I suppose coming back to the budgeting, we are actually, a lot of us are just so much more abundant than we realize. And it's okay, so this month it's going to be tight, right?
Yeah.
Let's look in the cupboard and really see what we've got. Let's
That's
work
right.
our way gently through this thing. Another budget aspect is things like if you're making cooking with meat and you want to extend the stew out, there's a couple of tins of beans or chickpeas. Sorry, what do you call it? Garbanzo
I love doing
beans.
that.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite things to do is like bulk it up.
Bulk it up. Keep your gravy. Keep your gravy, because that gets used for so many things. It's this kind of thing. Just kind of cooking like grandma used to. And I think in some ways we live in very interesting times, Julie. We live in very interesting times.
Yeah.
So it's good to start where you can. Going back to some of those school skills. I'm reading, what is it? Little House on the Prairie at the moment with one of my daughters.
Are? Oh, how fun.
Lovely. Just charming, wonderful. And the first book is called The Little House in the Big Woods. And you're following Ma as she's making the cheese, as she's doing all the cooking, and they're doing stuff with molasses. But what's so interesting is all of the preparation that happens over the summertime in order that they have an attic full of the food ready for the winter.
For the winter,
ready for the winter. And then it gets eaten down, and then the whole process starts
again. And then
again.
You start all over again. Absolutely. I love that.
Absolutely.
Now, what is your one go-to meal that your family loves?
Oh, it's classic spaghetti bolognese. That's the meal that I know everyone is happy with. But in that instance, what I'll do is I will make a huge pot that is about 3 weeks worth. So it's three big meals worth, and then it put it up and go into the freezer.
Okay.
So I will just have a session of an hour or so making this ginormous pot of bolognese.
Okay.
But then I know that the next 2-3 weeks
it's taken care of.
It's taken care of. It's done.
That's very nice. My husband would be thrilled if I were making that big amount of pasta bolognese.
And then it's one of those. It's also one of the good things if you've got children who are quite particular about what they eat, shall we say. It's the amount of vegetables you can smuggle into it.
Oh, absolutely.
Quite miraculous.
Yes, I do that. I do that as well here.
Yeah. It's like, nobody's looking, in it goes.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So, So for our family, super simple bolognese, but it's also things like our local butcher actually is quite good. He does a mince meat that is 80% beef, but also 20% things like liver, heart, all the offal. You know what? That's a really great tip. And then we actually have a butcher in town. I wonder, maybe I need to take a visit over there. Yeah. That's a great tip. Yeah. Because it's hard to get that. Yeah. It's hard to get the liver. I enjoy the liver and bacon. Yeah. But I don't mind it. coming back to family favorites, not really a family favorite.
No.
But you can smuggle the goodness in this way.
That's right. Ooh, such a good idea. I love this tip.
Yeah.
So if people are looking to get more organized with their food and they're really looking to, maybe look at ways in which they can create better meals, not be overwhelmed with their food.
Yeah.
And, does the food consultant, what are the things that you want us to know?
I would like you to know that this isn't going to happen at the drop of a hat.
Yes. Oh,
yes,
thank you for sharing that. 100%.
This isn't you're not going to wake up tomorrow morning with your usual busy day and say, today the change will happen.
Yeah, doesn't happen like that. Yeah.
No. As with anything in this life, you need to actually say, right, I'm going to take the time. I'm going to have a Saturday morning. I've got to go, to the cafe, be out the house, whatever it is, and really sit down and plan.
Oh, so good.
I wish it was easier. I wish it was easier, but you do need to actually be really intentional about it. I mean, I'll come back to my website, but I've got a couple of other resources on there.
You've got wonderful resources, by the way, Zoe.
Thank you.
You do.
But a lot of them, there's things like how busy mums, or anyone for that matter, could actually have a day of rest on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. So it's walking you through those steps. So have a look at any of those things and it will actually walk you through in like 4 or 5 steps how to plan and prepare for this sort of thing. And those skills you can then use daily for your cooking.
That's amazing. And by the way, I know that when we start to work and create habits in one area of life, it's very easy for these habits to then go into other areas.
Yeah.
And if you're an entrepreneur and maybe this is an area in which you still may be kind of struggling with, work at and pick one thing that you can do to make it easy.
Yeah.
And then you will see that if you're creating the habit of maybe planning in advance for your meals, you can plan in advance for your business. Or if you go to your regular job, maybe you're planning ahead, right? And look to see what is it that I'm looking to accomplish? How do I want to feel at the end of this? And really do that. Now, working with a family food consultant, what does that look like? What are some of the things in addition? We've talked a lot about different things that you do, but what does that look like if someone wants to leverage your great gifts and expertise?
Bless you. So somebody will get in touch and they'll go, oh, I'm totally overwhelmed. And so that begins. And then I'll have an initial kind of 15-minute chat with them. What is it? Oh, I want to, I don't know. I need to go gluten-free, budget cooking, or I'm just totally stressed out eating chicken nuggets all the time. So I have a conversation, initial chat, and then we have maybe a further chat of half an hour, 45 minutes, really talking about what bits do you want to change? What is it that you want to bring in? What is it you want to take out? I will then go away, have a good think for a week or so, probably a bit less than that, and essentially put together a bit of a meal plan and a shopping list.
Nice. That's awesome. Because I think that's even if you know how to plan, breaking it down into the ingredient list and what you need. Breaking it down into the ingredients. That's hard.
Yeah. So then you've got the shopping list. So I'll give an example. Let's say you are going gluten-free for the first time. Here's the shopping list, because what's going to happen is you then need to go to the supermarket and find the new places that you're going to go to.
That's
because when we go to the supermarket, we have our routes that we
have our routes. Absolutely.
We have our routes. Or if you're ordering food, you've got your set list. You will do that shop. Bring it. Now, for my local clients, what I will then do is I will then cook with them, spend 3 hours actually cooking with them and preparing the meals together and setting them up for a good few days, 5-6 days or so of food, and working with them like that. If I'm doing the online coaching, then you've got your shopping list, you get your food, and we'll be talking through recipes. We'll be looking at your weekly plan and how this is going to fit in. When is it you're going to do your cooking? What recipes are going to work for you? How can we make your life easier with batch cooking? And then there's a follow-up report of what we've talked about, the recipes that worked, and and any more tips and tricks and ongoing support they may need after that. So yeah,
That's awesome. And by the way, my friends, I do want to encourage you. Reallifekitchen.com is where Zoë, you can find Zoë on her website, but she's got some really, really cool resources that are free. You know, she talked about the 7-day pantry challenge, but again, you know, if you want to go gluten-free, that's something that if you're dealing with an autoimmune, like I tend to do, and maybe you're inflamed, that is something that can definitely help you. You know, we're not trying to give you any medical advice, but healthy tips like going gluten-free doesn't have to be overwhelming. She's got a free recipe ebook with 5 delicious gluten-free breakfast ideas, and she can make it easy for you as well if you're going back to work. First steps for first-time mothers as well, because again, these moms also need the help. So this is a great resource. I'm so happy that this is something that is available for individuals, Zoë. I think that it's such a gift that you're giving to the women and some cool dudes, I'm sure, out there that need that support.
Yeah. Bless you, Julie. No, it's such a privilege. It is working with my clients, and it's amazing how you see the confidence growing. There's something really quite fundamental about supporting and nourishing your family and having the confidence to do that well. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And I can't wait to see what amazing things we hear from the listeners. Now, if there is one thing that the listeners, if they want to take one thing away from this conversation, and maybe there's one quick tip that will make them have a big bang for their buck, what would be a great tip that they can implement right away?
I think if you're feeling overwhelmed by the cooking, how about meal planning with a friend?
Awesome. I love that.
Go and find a friend. Go and have a coffee with a friend, because you're already having that kind of community, and you sit down and go, what works with your family?
Yeah.
And you help, and you just meal plan with a friend. So super easy.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. My this past Christmas, I actually participated, and I've done this a couple of years, in a cookie swap. But it was really fun, right?
Because
I think a lot of people, you know, so here in the States, many people end up, I used to bake like 5, 6 different types of cookies to, you know, make little packaged things. And after a while, it's like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. I stopped baking altogether, right? So now everybody who participates picks one cookie that they're going to make. And then depending on how many people in the particular cookie swap, there were 12 of us that were participating. So everybody did 1 dozen. No, we did 12 dozen of cookies, right?
Yeah.
But it was the same recipe. We didn't have to do. And then we came together and everybody walked home with 12 different types of cookies.
Amazing.
It was very fun. And it makes it a little fun community. And there's so many different things that you can do. You know, if you have a family recipe that it's easy, it's your go-to, that saves you time and money, maybe this is something that you get together with a friend and swap. And I know a friend that used to get together with some of her girlfriends, and they would each make double the recipe that they make and then kind of swap it so that they came home and they had another recipe that was easy, a crowd pleaser at home. So again, we can be in community. We can use our gifts. We can also get everybody else's support and expertise and do it well and do it in a way that it doesn't have to be complicated. So
Yeah. And it can also be joyful because you're doing it with
Absolutely.
others.
And these are real life solutions. So, and I love that your journey started with looking at how you can do this for yourself. And once you realize that this was something that created a big difference, now you're creating a big difference in the lives of others. So I'm so grateful that you're doing this. Now, if people want to connect with you, other than going to your website, what would be another great way to connect with you?
So I'm sort of hanging around a bit on Instagram. So I'm at Real Life Real Kitchen, and I'm over on Pinterest as well. So hanging out over there, and then I have plans for a podcast.
Ooh, well, come see us when you want help with the podcast. We'd love to help you.
Do you know what? I will be in touch. Don't worry.
Yeah, we love podcasts. We love helping individuals with podcasts. And again, you know, that's our community, right? We have individuals who we love to support, because if you have a message and you have a passion, someone needs it. And we just feel incredibly fortunate and grateful and honored to be able to help individuals do that. So, and if you just want the help, and we'll give you all the tools and you go do it yourself, but we love to help individuals get their word out there. So
bless you, Julie. No,
absolutely.
Great gift you have as well. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you. Well, Zoe, you're going to have to come back again, and we're going to have to chat some more. I know that this is an episode that people will save and share. My friends, you know that you're not the only one who sometimes looks at that pantry and refrigerator not knowing what to make for dinner. So share this with your friends. It will make a difference for them and will help us in the journey to go confidently in the direction of our dreams. Thanks again, Zoe.
Okay. Bless you, Julie. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great day.